In the frozen silence of Yaroslavl, where snow buried streets and the sky hung heavy with clouds, there stood a house that no one wanted to approach. Its crooked roof leaned like an old man's back, its windows cracked and covered in frost. People whispered that the house was cursed, but inside it lived a little girl, Anya, no more than 9, with her grandmother, Galina. Anya's parents had died mysteriously. The neighbors recalled the last night, screams tearing through the cold air, a crash, and then silence. Her mother was found in blood, her father's chest torn with wounds that looked like knife cuts. Only Galina survived, holding the child in her arms, telling everyone fate had chosen cruelty. But behind Galina's calm eyes, there was something unreadable, something dark. For Anya, the house never felt safe. At night, the wooden floors groaned as if someone walked there, though she was alone. In mirrors, shadows flickered, stretching long behind her small figure. From the cellar, whispers rose, sometimes soft like prayers, sometimes sharp like laughter. She buried herself in blankets, but nothing silenced those sounds. Galina fed her, clothed her, and wrapped her in thick scarves against the winter cold. Yet kindness was mixed with cruelty. She locked the doors, forbidding Anya to play with children outside. "The world is cursed," Galina said, her voice sharp as broken glass. Curtains remained shut, blocking the sun, while the air inside smelled of wax and smoke. At night, Galina lit black candles and murmured words that twisted through the rooms like a strange wind. She would place an old rusted knife on the table, its blade stained with something dark that no scrubbing removed. Sometimes Anya awoke to find her grandmother kneeling by the fireplace, her face lit red by the flames. She chanted in a language Anya didn't know, her shadow on the wall moving wrong, bending where her body did not. On those nights, small bones appeared near Anya's bed, bird bones, rat skulls, fragments of something unclean. Anya grew older, but fear grew with her. The house's silence pressed like stone, broken only by faint echoes of the past. In her dreams, her mother screamed again, cut short by the sound of metal slicing flesh. She dreamed of her father falling, his blood on the floor, and her grandmother watching from the corner with eyes that did not blink. Anya grew older, but fear grew with her. The house's silence pressed like stone, broken only by faint echoes of the past. In her dreams, her mother screamed again, cut short by the sound of metal slicing flesh. She dreamed of her father falling, his blood on the floor, and her grandmother watching from the corner with eyes that did not blink. The girl felt trapped between life and death, in a house that breathed fear. She knew her childhood was not blessed. It was a curse, inherited like a mark on the skin. And in the silence of the endless Russian winter, Anya began to understand. Her grandmother's secret was the key to everything. Anya grew into her teenage years, but the shadow of Galina never left her. The house remained a prison, its walls heavy with whispers. She watched snowstorms swirl outside the window and longed to feel the world beyond, yet Galina's commands were iron. Stay inside. Outside is death. Outside is sin. But Anya's heart, like any young girl's, wanted freedom, wanted warmth. One spring day, while sneaking to the market against her grandmother's orders, Anya met a boy named Sergei. His smile was disarming, his words gentle. He spoke of the world beyond Yaroslavl, of cities alive with music and light. Anya, starved for kindness, was drawn to him instantly. Each stolen meeting with Sergei felt like a breath of life, though in the back of her mind, she always feared Galina's wrath. But secrets in that house did not stay hidden for long. Galina's eyes seemed to see everything. She smelled Sergei's presence on Anya's clothes, heard the unspoken words in her trembling voice. That night, the grandmother stood in the doorway of Anya's room, a candle in her hand, casting a grotesque shadow across the wall. "You think love will save you?" she whispered. "Love is weakness. Love is blood." From that night onward, the house grew darker. The cellar's whispers grew louder, forming words Anya almost understood. Warnings, curses, laughter that belonged to no living throat. Sometimes she dreamed of Sergei's face melting into a skull, his eyes hollow, his voice begging for help as unseen hands dragged him into shadows. She woke screaming, only to find Galina watching her from the chair in the corner, the candlelight glowing in her cold eyes. Despite the fear, Anya trusted Sergei more than her own blood. One night, trembling, she confessed to him the memory that haunted her since childhood, the screams of her mother, the fall of her father, and the way her grandmother's shadow bent against the wall like a demon. She whispered, "I think she killed them." The words felt like blades leaving her throat. Sergei held her shaking hands, but his face grew pale. The truth was too heavy, too cursed. Galina's cruelty sharpened. She starved Anya for days, locked her in the attic where rats crawled over her blanket. The girl swore she saw faces carved in the wooden beams, eyes watching, mouths open in silent cries. When she begged for release, Galina simply said, "Obedience is survival, disobedience is death." Still, Anya and Sergei continued to meet in secret. In his arms, she felt human, alive. In her grandmother's presence, she felt like prey. The more she loved Sergei, the more dangerous her life became. One evening, under the shadow of the forest, Anya spoke words she thought she would never say. "She killed them, my parents, and if we don't stop her, she will kill me too." Sergei looked at her in silence, and then, with a voice firm as the frozen ground, he said, "Then we must find a way to end her." The night was heavy, the kind of Russian winter night when the moon looked pale and sick, hiding behind thick clouds. The wooden house stood like a coffin in the snow, its windows glowing with faint candlelight. Inside, Galina waited. She knew they would come. Anya and Sergei walked through the frozen street, their breaths sharp in the air. Sergei carried an iron rod wrapped in cloth, while Anya clutched a bottle filled with kerosene. Fear trembled in her eyes, but there was also determination. "Tonight, it ends," she whispered, though her voice shook. When they pushed the door open, the house groaned as if alive. Shadows rushed across the walls and the smell of burning wax suffocated them. Galina sat in her chair near the fireplace, a black shawl over her shoulders, her eyes glowing faintly like embers. "So," she said slowly, her voice deep, "the children come to kill their mother of shadows." Sergei stepped forward, raising the rod. "You killed them, her parents, your own blood." His voice cracked, but Galina only smiled, her teeth sharp in the firelight. The shadows around the room stirred, stretching upward, forming grotesque shapes. The walls seemed to breathe, the ceiling sagging lower as though the house itself was bending toward them. Anya lit the bottle's rag, the small flame trembling in her hand. She shouted, "You won't hurt me again," and hurled it toward the chair. But the fire burst and vanished before it touched Galina, as though swallowed by invisible hands. The old woman rose slowly, her figure taller, her back no longer bent. Her shadow spread like black wings, covering the walls. "Fools," she hissed. "Did you think fire could burn what is already dead?" The floor split open, and cold air rushed upward from the cellar. Whispers poured out, hundreds of voices chanting, crying, laughing. Sergei swung the rod, but the moment it touched Galina, the metal turned to rust and crumbled in his hands. Darkness coiled around his arms like snakes, dragging him to his knees. Anya screamed and tried to run, but the door slammed shut with a force that rattled the walls. She felt hands on her shoulders, cold, bony fingers, though no one stood behind her. Galina's voice filled the house. "I killed your mother. I cut your father to pieces. And now, you will join them." Sergei's body convulsed as shadows poured into his mouth and eyes. With one last gasp, his scream turned into silence. His skin grew pale, his body stiff, collapsing lifeless to the floor. Anya fell to her knees, tears burning her face. "Why? Why me?" she cried. Galina bent down, her face close, her breath reeking of ash. "Because love is weakness, and you are mine." The last thing Anya saw was her grandmother's eyes blazing red before darkness swallowed her whole. Snow covered Yaroslavl in silence, but inside the crooked house the silence was broken by screams that no one outside could hear. Sergei's body lay cold, his eyes wide open, staring into nothing. The floor beneath him drank his blood like black ink sinking into wood. Anya tried to crawl away, but her limbs no longer obeyed her. The shadows wrapped around her throat like chains, lifting her from the ground. She gasped for breath, her nails scratching the air. Galina stood tall now, her shawl falling away to reveal a figure almost inhuman. Her eyes glowed red, her hands long and skeletal. "You were never meant to escape me," she whispered. Anya's final scream echoed through the house, cut short as the darkness swallowed her whole. Her small body collapsed beside Sergei, lifeless, another offering to the House of Shadows. Outside, the snow kept falling, soft and quiet, covering the roof of the cursed home. To the villagers, it was just another winter night. But inside, Galina sat once more in her chair, her face calm, her eyes dim like dying coals. The house sighed with satisfaction, fed again by blood. And in the mirrors, two new shadows appeared, Anya and Sergei, trapped forever, staring, unable to leave.